guys about how you can start your own yoga practice at home. Obviously, yoga studios are closed right now, and if you wanted to get started on your yoga journey, right now is the perfect time. You can do it at home and for free, and I'm gonna talk to you guys how you can do that. I just wanted to say that yoga is for anyone and everyone. You can start at any age. You don't have to have a certain amount of flexibility or strength. Yoga really is for everyone because it goes so far beyond the poses, and you don't have to focus so hard on what you're doing, what you look like while you're doing it, but more connecting to your breath, how you feel during the movements, and it goes so far beyond just what it visibly looks like. Going off of that, yoga looks different for everyone. What I post on my Instagram looks different from my daily yoga practice. I usually just film some fun flows or poses that I've learned, kind of the more interesting side of yoga, but yoga for me is a daily practice that involves like stretching or breathing. It can just be me sitting in my pajamas, working on breathing, doing some gentle stretches. It doesn't always revolve around doing cool poses or flows that I post on social media. One thing to consider when you're thinking about starting a yoga practice is why you're starting it. And that can be for so many different reasons. It could be you're starting it because you want to be more flexible. Maybe there's a pose that you want to learn. Maybe you're doing it to get more fit, or maybe you're doing it to help your anxiety, to learn different methods of breathing. It really depends on what your goals are and why you're choosing to start yoga, and kind of narrowing down the specific focus and goal for yoga will help you develop your home practice more. A sort of a misconception that people get with yoga is that you always need yoga blocks or yoga mat, straps or wheels or anything, but you seriously don't need any props. There are so many times where I'm doing yoga in my pajamas, on my carpet. You can even do yoga in your bed. You really don't need a fancy mat. I would recommend getting a mat if you have a hard floor surface. You could even use a towel, or there are definitely some cheaper mats that you can get. That might be the one thing that you need, is a mat or a towel of some sort to lay down underneath you, just to protect your joints if you're on the floor doing certain poses. A recommendation that I do have that has helped me a lot is to practice near a mirror, preferably a full-length mirror, so that you can watch yourself as you're doing a class or trying a pose, so that you can really make sure that your alignment is correct. And I think having a mirror really helps me. That's something that I've implemented when I'm doing flows with an instructor on YouTube. I've been really paying attention to my alignment in the pose, not just how deeply I can sink into the pose, how long I can hold the pose, more of are my hips in line, are my feet in the correct place, and using the mirror really helps me with that. So I started my home practice on and off probably when I was in high school, probably either my freshman or sophomore year of high school. So about 6 years ago is when I kind of started to dive into the world of yoga. I went to a few classes in my town. I did yoga on YouTube, just finding some random YouTube classes. And it wasn't until about a year and a half ago when I started my Instagram is when I really started to have a daily yoga practice, and I got much deeper into learning different poses, about different flows and styles of yoga. So I've been doing yoga consistently for only about a year and a half, but I was introduced to yoga probably when I was about 14 or 15 years old, but that was really sporadic and I wasn't doing yoga every single day. Going off of that, you can have a consistent yoga practice without ever going to an in-class yoga session. I rarely ever go to classes in person just because they're expensive, and as a college student, I really can't be paying like $20 for a class. So I've been using a lot of free resources that I'll get into later. But actually last summer, I got into a pretty consistent once a week going to Bikram yoga, which is a style of hot yoga, and I actually really enjoyed going to those classes. It was something really different. Doing it consistently, I got a lot better at it, and it was very rewarding. But other than that, I basically strictly do yoga at home, and I go to classes maybe once every few weeks or even months now. I would say up to this point, 95% of my yoga practice has been free. I recently did just buy a membership to Alo Moves, which is a monthly subscription membership fee to their yoga website. They have tons of different videos, and I've only been doing it for a few weeks. I got my first month free, so I've been using a lot of those classes the past few weeks, and I'm still deciding if I'm going to continue with the monthly membership because it is pretty expensive, but so far I've been really enjoying it. But I'm about to get into all the different free resources that you can use to start your practice, to get kick-started, to get some inspiration, or just learn how to do more things. So my top 2 free resources are YouTube and Instagram. I've been using YouTube yoga videos since I was in high school, so for about 6 years now. And I'll post and link my favorite YouTube channels and Instagrammers that I've been following and using for a long time. A lot of them post a new practice every week, sometimes multiple times a week. Instagram isn't the best for finding actual classes. Right now, people are doing some Instagram live classes, but I definitely prefer being able to go back or save a class on YouTube, so that's definitely my preferred way. But Instagram has a whole bunch of tips on how to do certain poses, tips on how to build your own flow, or things like that. So that's where I get a lot of inspiration and help for certain poses is Instagram. A big tip that I have is to not just search for like 60-minute yoga class on YouTube every single time. I would definitely try to find a yoga instructor that you like and subscribe to his or her channel. That way, if a new class pops up into your subscription box, you can save it for later or do it that day. I think that motivates you to do more yoga if you see it in your subscription box. And they also might offer different styles of yoga that you might not have done if you didn't see that they had posted a video. So I think that helps with A, consistency, and B, trying new things with yoga. A lot of resources that I've seen that yoga teachers have been posting on YouTube or Instagram are ebooks, and that is something that's just a one-time payment and you'll have the ebook forever. I have 2 or 3 ebooks, and honestly I don't use them. I did use them like when I first got them because they help more with specific poses, but if you're looking for actual classes, I would not purchase ebooks. I would just subscribe to channels or follow people on Instagram for that. So with developing a routine for yoga, I personally don't have anything really specific. I just try to do yoga once a day and just have a consistent daily practice. I'm not like, on Monday I practice my splits, on Tuesday I do handstands. I'm more flexible and just kind of go with what I feel like doing for that day. Right now I am practicing a lot of splits and different inversions. That's definitely taking up the majority of my practice, and then I've also been following some yoga classes on my Alo Moves account, but other than that I really don't have anything specific. I don't really view yoga as something that you have to set up specific days for, like you would do for like a workout training split. I more do it based on how my body feels, or if I'm feeling tighter, I'll spend more time doing flexibility poses, or if I'm feeling up for a challenge, then I'll try harder poses or do like a handstand session. But other than that, I'm more focused on consistency and basically quality over quantity, not doing it for an hour every single day. I don't think it's necessary to have those kinds of goals, or I would kind of even view that as a restriction with yoga to have those sort of like set, like I have to practice for 60 minutes every day. Really just follow your body, see what you like, definitely try out different things, different yoga classes. Be more focused with trying to do something every day or every other day, and not be so focused on numbers or calories burned or anything like that. So my tip for finding time or finding a routine with yoga is to find the time of day that works the best for you. You could add it to the end of your workout as a cool down. You could do it in the morning before work or before bed as you're winding down. Find a time that works best for you and really stick with that. Like when I was in school, I would wake up early before my classes, and that's when I would have my yoga sessions. But now that I'm home for the summer and still in like quarantine lockdown, I can kind of do it at any time of the day, but I've been focusing on trying to get my yoga done in the morning, kind of part of my morning routine, and make sure that you implement that into your routine. And consistency will just help with the motivation and remembering to do it. So don't just try to randomly insert it into your day. Try to find something that it works well with your schedule. Something else that I wanted to mention too with this is that you can really practice yoga anywhere. It can be in your bedroom, it can be in a living room or shared space, but it can also be outside too, which is really fun to do. So you can really do it anywhere and everywhere. All you really need is enough space to lie down, a mat, and space to freely move. You don't need a big yoga studio or something, or a big bedroom. You really only need the space of your mat. I did yoga a ton in my dorm room, and my dorm rooms were not large. I really only had enough space for my mat and maybe a foot or two on each side of me in between my bed and my roommate's bed, and that's how I did yoga a lot in college before I moved into an apartment. So you really can do it anywhere. Something else to consider too is that your yoga practice will definitely evolve over time as you get more familiar with the poses, get more knowledgeable about how to build your own practice or build your own flows. Definitely when I started, I was very reliant on the YouTube videos that I was following. I didn't really stray far from that when I was first practicing, but now that I have a lot of practice and skills under my belt, I can build my own flows and kind of do my own practice completely on my own, and I don't have to follow anything. So you probably will rely heavily on full classes at first, but then as you go through those, that allows you more fluidity and flexibility to try different things and really structure your own personal practice. Your practice also might change too on what you really are focusing on. Like at first I was really focusing on flexibility and just basic poses, but now I'm focusing more on inversions and handstands and just trying to do different things and challenging myself with different poses, and also doing longer yoga classes. So it's also evolved from only focusing on the poses at the very beginning to now focusing on breath with movement and meditation and sinking deeper into the poses. I feel like I've slowed down a lot since I've started. When I first started, I was just really concerned about hitting every single pose perfectly, looking like the instructor. You'll definitely notice yourself doing that at first, trying to do every single pose completely perfectly, but just know that at the start, it's not going to look like that. You're not going to look like the yoga instructor who's been teaching for 20 plus years. Like, even though I've definitely developed my practice, I've only been consistent for a year and a half. I definitely am not looking like the yoga teachers who have been teaching for half of their lives. So just being kind to yourself in that way and not focusing on a lot of comparison, to focusing on doing the pose correctly, focusing on alignment, using the mirror, or maybe even videotaping yourself to make sure that you're doing poses correctly, and slowing down and not over pushing yourself just to look like the instructor. Slow down and move with your breath. Do the meditations at the end. At the beginning, I would always click out, wouldn't do the meditation at the end, even though that's a really important part of yoga. Definitely take the time to relax at the end of the practice, because you deserve that and earn that, and that's a really big component of yoga. I actually wrote down the definition of yoga, and I'll read it to you guys. Yoga, a Hindu and spiritual discipline including breath control, meditation, and the adaptation of specific bodily postures. And I find that definition interesting because they say breath control and meditation before anything about poses or postures. So yoga is really about breath work, meditation, movement with your breath, and mindful movement, moving with purpose. So don't just think my goal is to do this entire class perfectly from start to finish. Take the time to rest if you need to. pay attention to your breathing and how they're teaching you how to breathe. So one of my biggest tips is to slow down. I challenged myself too much, I pushed myself too far, and I kind of wasn't getting the benefits of yoga because I was competitive and I wanted to be as good as a yoga instructor, even though that's not attainable with my level of experience. So just to finish off this video, I wanted to give kind of my top tips or takeaways from this video. So my first tip is to really find a routine and find a time that works best for you to start your practice, whether it's the morning, the afternoon, or before bed. Find a time that works for you and stick with it. Going along with that, another tip is just to do it consistently, even if it's not for the same amount of time every day. Maybe the day before you did a full hour-long practice, but today you can only squeeze in a 5-minute meditation. Just try to do something every day just to establish more of a consistent routine, and so that it feels more natural and you just build a habit of it. My third tip is to actually subscribe to your favorite YouTube yoga teacher so that you always get them in your subscription box and that you don't have to search for a class every single time. It's super easy to find and it will motivate you to continue your practice and to do it consistently. Follow your favorite yoga teachers on Instagram as well to maybe extra tips and extra information about yoga. And my last and final tip is to slow down and be easy on yourself when you're first trying to do yoga, especially if you're very, very new to this and have never done it before. Yoga, even though you might be moving slow, is pretty hard, and it's a lot about alignment and moving your body and using muscles in your body that you might have not really worked ever before. So don't be discouraged at the start. Don't try to go into every single pose perfectly. Don't try to look like the yoga instructor. Just really go in with an open mind. Do what you can. And if you're consistent, and if you try different things, find what you love to do and continue to do those, then you'll find that you'll build your own personal practice. Those are my tips on how to start your yoga practice at home, and I hope that you enjoyed this video. Feel free to subscribe to me if you want some more yoga videos and tips, and thanks for watching.